Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess postmortem video. This is a postmortem of my Blitz chess game number 87, where I kicked off with e4, and my opponent played d5, the center counter defense. So we've looked at this one before. I take the pawn, and he takes back with the queen, the second, or the top choice here. It's the main line, I guess, the center counter. I usually play this knight f6 line. I find that a little more to my taste, but this is fine too. You attack the queen with your knight, force it to move, and then play d4. Most common moves. He goes knight f6, you go knight f3, and now the most common move here is c6. This gives the queen a route back to the d8 square, or maybe the c7 square, and allows the bishop to develop normally, or you can immediately develop the bishop to g4. I think I've seen that a lot in my games, and it looks like bishop f5 is another idea there. So, but he plays e6, maybe not the best move because it blocks in his bishop, and I go bishop d3 instead of d2. I guess that developing the other bishop is a logical thing, just immediately asking the queen what it plans to do. But with the bishop d3 move, we're out of the opening book, so let's just look at the notation tab. I'm keeping the engine turned off because I have some tactical quizzes to try out here. So bishop d3, c6, and now I castle, and then finally I play bishop d2, threatening his queen, and his queen goes back. So I think basically I've gotten a pretty good position out of this opening. He's wasted some time with his queen. He's only developed a couple of pieces, and he hasn't castled yet. So, and I have more presence in the center. So I have a bigger than usual opening advantage, and I keep this for a while, although it sort of slowly fades over time. So I'm not playing the most precise moves here. I think one of the moves, maybe knight g3, was not the best there. The computer wants to just go ahead and take the knight. There are other possibilities there too, of course. And maybe this bishop c3 plan. This was a little slow because it took a couple moves with the bishop, but still have an opening advantage through here. And right here is where I can sort of cash in on my advantage and make a good move. So what's a good move for white here? This is your first tactical quiz. What's a good move, and why is it a good move? Because this requires analyzing a couple moves deep. So think ahead. See if you can figure out everything that's going on and find a plan for white here and a good move. If you want time to think about it, pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and give away the answer. What's recommended here is starting with knight takes d7. Notice he can't take with the knight because bishop takes h7, check wins a pawn. So he takes with the queen. Then this is the main idea. You push ahead with d5 and open up this line from the bishop to the knight. Now this knight is the last piece defending here. Now they've eliminated the other knight. This exchange here, if you had tried to push d5 first and take the knight, he could come back with a knight keeping h7 defended, but now he can't. So he's going to grab a pawn, most likely, and that was a recommended move. And then you grab the knight, he takes, and then you grab here with check. He moves, and now it's white's turn to move, and I hope you can spot this one-move tactic. Okay, here it is. Bishop back to f5. So after all of this, you gave up a pawn, you won a pawn, you forced his king to move to an open file. So all that would be good enough by itself, but on top of that, you get this skewer at the end. So that's a pretty cool thing, and it's a nice tactic. It's the kind of thing you can spot if you have enough time to think about it. You just concentrate on these moves that do things. So you look at all the captures, and you look at the follow-up moves, moves that open lines and captures. So it's knight takes, pushing a pawn to open up this line, bishop takes, and then at the end you try to visualize that position, and if you can, you notice the queen is here on d7 in a line with the rook on c8, and this pawn is gone and the knights are gone, so the skewer is available. So okay, interesting tactic to try and visualize. I missed that during the game, and of course in a blitz game it's hard to find stuff like that. And he takes back with a knight, and now black is maybe a little better here because of my inaccurate play. I'm giving up the knight, and so he's got the 2 bishops advantage. And and it turns out I was thinking I would get some compensation on the d file, but it looks like I can't really hold on to it. He can just trade things off. And maybe I should have gone to e2 directly, because at this point he could have played queen d1 check, forced my knight back, and that would have been the best way for black to play and keep the advantage. He plays here, forcing my queen to e2, which was a better square for it anyway. So anyway, that's a lesson for you to don't play moves that force your opponent to make good moves. But it was a developing move for him. It had advantages for black as well. He did get to develop with tempo, but it puts my queen on a better square. And but because of these combinations of inaccuracies, the game is about even here. And the way for black to stay in the game, even or slightly better, is to play either queen to g5 or pawn to g5. He has to deal with this threat after the exchange. I've got the queen and the bishop ganging up on the g7 pawn, so he has to do something about that. But when he plays g6, he creates a weakness here, and in addition to this weak diagonal. So when there's 2 weaknesses, if you can find a move that attacks both of them, like queen f4, it attacks here and it threatens to put the queen on the diagonal and deliver a checkmate. So that's a good move, and now white has the advantage. He throws in this check here, which is okay, and then he plays bishop d6, and this really should be a losing move for white if white finds the best follow-up. So what's the best move here for white, and why is it the best move? Why is it working? So put your thinking caps on, pause the video if you want some time to think about it. And I'm going to give the answer away now. The best move here is queen to f6. And so the first thing to notice is the king can't run away. If he tries to run, so there's 2 mates that are threatened. There's a threat of a mate here and threat of a mate here. And he can't hide from both of them. So if he tries to run away, there's a nice mate over here. So he can't run away from it. So what does he do? The line I was worried about was I thought he was going to take here with check. Yeah, I got to take back his move. I thought he would take here with check. Okay. And I take back. That was forced. And then he can make some move to threaten my pawn on g2. For example, bishop takes, or queen here, queen to c2 would be pretty scary, threatening this mate here. But the chess engine says, well, first of all, he can't do that because there's immediate mate. So he has to take a move out to play king here, king f8, so I'm not mating him immediately. And now it's my turn. And I no longer have this square here. The queen's guarding it. So I can't mate. If I could put my queen here, the king would be, yeah, the bishop's still guarding that square, so that would be mate once again. So I have to come in this way, check. King goes here, only move, and then bishop here, check. And then there's only 2 moves for the king. He can go to d7 or d6. But then you have this move, queen d8, and after the king moves, you take the queen. So that would be winning, and he doesn't have time to gang up on this g2 pawn. So that is the main idea. The computer recommends for black in this position to play the move e5. And then you can take here, and you're a pawn up. And the queen is in a great position. So it's a queen versus a knight, but you haven't lost this pawn on f2, which happens in the way I played it. So what I played in the game is, I wasn't sure how that was all working out after queen to f6. There's a lot of different lines to consider, and and my amount of time was limited too. So I took the safe route, I thought, and actually it still preserves an advantage for white. I just grabbed on h6, so now I'm a pawn up. I'm still threatening mate. And now he plays e5. I come back here with queen g5, ganging up on this pawn. Now he plays queen c2. I can grab that pawn, but he can grab this one, and he's threatening mate because the bishop and the queen are both attacking this pawn. So I have to be very careful here, and this is an interesting move. Oh, and my actual move is hidden, so I can use this as a quiz. There's actually only one move that keeps white in the game here, and so if you haven't seen the game and you want to think a little bit, pause the video here and see if you can find the move for white. Okay, I'm going to give away the answer, and this is what I actually played in the game: knight to e4. The logic of it is, you're blocking the bishop, so you're no longer threatening mate here, and also the queen defends this way. So even after he takes the knight, which he does, that's the best move. That's a knight's sack, but his bishop was hanging too, so you take his bishop. And then my opponent ran out of time here. But if you look at the position, it's slightly better for white. White has an extra pawn still. It's 3 against 2 over here. The problem is that it's opposite colored bishops, so maybe with accurate play this might be a draw. But black's king is still open, so I still have mating chances on the dark squares here too. So who knows how it would have turned out, but for the time. But my opponent ran out of time here, so I won the game. And that's it for this postmortem. Hope you guys enjoyed that. A lot of interesting stuff going on there. So if you have any comments, leave them in the section below, and I will see you again soon. Bye.